Alright, you found it once again. It's the Valley's most in-depth weather forecast video. It's Weather for Weather Geeks here, the Tuesday evening edition on the 12th day of July, 2022. It was another pretty good-looking day today. Yes, it was warm, but the dew points started to come down this afternoon, making it a little more comfortable for early evening walks than Monday evening, which was pretty steamy with dew points pretty close to 70. 87 was the high at the airport today, 4 degrees above the average, after a sultry start, 74 this morning. That's 14 degrees warmer than the average for this time of the year as far as early morning temperatures. It was steamy this morning, but again, lots of improvement this afternoon. Now, compared to the 7 o'clock hour at the airport, the dew point change compared to 24 hours ago, not super impressive. 3-degree difference, but some higher numbers off to our north and west. The air mass continues to dry out as we head deeper into the night. It may surprise you to learn, considering how dry it's been of late, that we are still running a rainfall, a total precipitation surplus for the calendar year 2022 so far, 1.08 inches in the plus category. In fact, most of the climate stations throughout Ohio and Pennsylvania are running a surplus for the year. The exception, Northwest Ohio up into Michigan, and also northwestern PA and Erie. A little bit of deficit there, but you'll notice Columbus, 7 inches above average, Zanesville, 3.5, Pittsburgh, close to 2 inches, but yeah, that's for the year so far. The short-term trends have been a lot different. We've been pretty dry over the last several weeks. Quick check-in on the tropics, and the only reason I show you this is because, not because it's going to impact any land masses imminently, but it's pretty impressive for the middle of July to have a major Category 3 hurricane out across the Pacific. In fact, last evening this was a Category 4. It's undergone some weakening. That weakening will probably continue as this heads into a less favorable environment. This is Hurricane Darby in the Pacific Ocean, likely to weaken down to a Category 1 in time here. Now, the closest landmass that may be impacted a little bit, Hawaii, and it's mostly a surf issue for Hawaii by the weekend, maybe some high surf for the Big Island especially, but off to the west, there's just no land out here. So this is a big, mean-looking hurricane, but thankfully it's the best kind of hurricane in that its impact on people will be pretty minimal. Back here in the lower 48, we have a severe weather threat this evening across parts of the mid-Atlantic states. Severe thunderstorm watches from southern New England down the I-95 corridor towards D.C., Baltimore, into parts of Virginia and West Virginia as well. Kind of a rare severe weather episode for some of the higher terrain. The terrain in eastern West Virginia up into the panhandle of Maryland, I should say. It gets up to 3,000, 3,500 feet or so, even a little bit higher in some spots. And so severe weather is not as likely a lot of times in those higher elevations, but this evening is an exception. Back here in the Mahoning and Shenango Valleys, the sky should be mostly clear in time for a pretty nice space station flyover this evening. This starts at 10:42 in the southwest sky, reaches a maximum height above the horizon, almost directly overhead, almost 90 degrees above the horizon. That's basically just straight up. And this disappears 7 minutes later in the northeastern sky. I'll put a reminder on social media for a nice, bright space station flyby this evening. Now, the moon is full tomorrow, but it's getting close tonight, and oftentimes the full moon in July is called the buck moon. This is actually the third of 4 consecutive supermoons. We'll have another one in August, then we won't have another one until next summer. Now, I don't play up supermoons too much because to the naked eye, to most people, it's not noticeable. I mean, the moon is like 1% bigger than a typical full moon, but a supermoon is basically when you have a full moon that coincides with the moon's closest approach to Earth in its orbit around our planet. It's not a perfect circle, that orbit around our planet, so sometimes it's a little closer to Earth and sometimes a little farther away. When the full moon lines up with it being a little bit closer, then it's a supermoon, but it's kind of a hypey term if you ask me, because it's not a very big difference. But nonetheless, third of 4 consecutive. After August, we won't have another one until next summer. All right, severe weather risk tomorrow is very, very low. I can't rule out a gusty storm in a couple of spots in our region, but this is the SPC Day 2 outlook for all of our region. Just general thunderstorms expected. Severe weather does not seem very likely. But that being said, if you have outdoor plans, including heading to the Trumbull County Fair Wednesday afternoon, there's just no saying who's going to get one of these and who's not. A lot of us are not. But some of us can get a shower or even a heavier downpour. I can't rule out some brief lightning and thunder. Again, the severe weather threat is pretty minimal, but could your plans be impacted here and there tomorrow afternoon, early tomorrow evening? Yes, that's going to be a possibility. But then, snooze and cruise weather returns for Thursday, Friday, into the first half of the weekend as well. It's just going to be delightful with low humidity. I still have the tumbleweeds on this graphic. Through the weekend into early next week, we have just a couple of chances of rain. One tomorrow into very early tomorrow night. The other one coming at the end of the weekend, Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, and at the very start of next week on Monday, especially Monday morning. There may be a residual shower or a thunderstorm. But again, it's not much rain coming our way over the next week. And look at this 8 to 14 day outlook showing almost coast-to-coast heat next week. Now, this is going to be pretty severe heat in the nation's midsection. A lot of triple-digit readings across Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, Texas. All those places. Triple digits will not occur around here, but could we see 90 at least a couple of times next week? I think that's a possibility, especially with our dry ground. A lot of the incoming solar radiation does not have to be wasted on evaporation because there's not much moisture on the ground. And so if you don't have much to evaporate, then that sun's energy can devote most of its gusto to just heating the ground and then heating the air. And so a lot of times it gets a little hotter than we would first expect when we have pretty dry conditions. A lot of times droughts lead to heat waves. Heat waves lead to more drought. It becomes just kind of a vicious cycle. I don't think we're going to see record heat around here next week, but could we see heat that maybe outperforms some of what the current models are showing? I think that is a possibility for next week. In the meantime, we'll keep you up to date on Wednesday's rain chances on all of my social media outlets, and don't forget to download the Storm Tracker 21 app. It is the best weather app for our area. I'll see you back here on Wednesday for Weather Geeks.